Good. We have another session of Tuesday Coffee Talk here. And today's topic, I wanted to kind of bring up the concert band thing again. And I'll just start with a real short story here. Two jobs that I interviewed for over the course of my 32-year teaching career. The principal, asked me, how are we going to make the marching band successful? And I said, well, I've heard the group play, and the first thing we need to do is work on playing sitting down. So I would say that concert band is the direction we have to go. And then I would have to go into this long diatribe of explaining to them and educating them as to why concert band needed to be the core of the curriculum and why that was so important. So, and I know you feel the same, Richard, but what do you think about that?
Well, I couldn't agree more with that idea too. I think the whole idea of the concert band being the center of the program, what you base everything else around, whether it be marching band, jazz band, chamber, everything is centered around the concert band because it's just such a great ensemble. There's so much great literature out there. There's so much great study material and develop material for those groups, and you can develop the ensemble while you're developing your individuals. And that's what is really nice, I think, about concert band, because you don't have to worry about the movement part of it. But those of you that are trying to build your marching band, just like Randy said, well, you start with a great concert band and it goes from there.
Yeah, issues like blend and quality of sound, it's all going to pay off. And the groups that you hear that at the highest levels at your Bands of America ranks are the groups that are spending time doing those fundamentals, working on those things, and they're doing it every day in their concert programs as well. And there should be no difference. There should not be a separation of those two curriculums. There's a ton of overlap. And I think that your more successful marching programs are those that understand that. I also think it's really, really important that we have passion about teaching that, right? A
Absolutely.
mentor of mine used to say, teach styles, don't teach pieces. And I think that makes a big difference. But I also think teach sound, don't just teach marching band sound, teach sound in general, characteristic sound. So, and you're right, there's a ton of developmental materials out there that can allow you to do that, bringing in clinicians, working on stretching your knowledge and your musicianship as the director, I think helps facilitate that passion, but also, maybe explaining to your students why it's important. Did you ever do that? Did you ever tell your students why this was important, especially
Yeah,
coming out of marching season?
yeah, especially. And that's what I was going to add is we have to be, I hate to use the word cheerleader, but we kind of have to be cheerleaders when it comes to concert band because a lot of times kids will feel like there's a letdown after marching season. And part of it is just to be expected because they're doing new things, they're doing things they haven't done before, especially the visual part of it. Okay, so when they come and sit down, it's like, okay, well, I've been doing this since fifth grade or sixth grade or whatever. I know how to do this. And so we have to kind of rekindle the excitement for concert band. Now, how do you do that? First of all, you do it by being excited about it. You do it by playing great literature. And if your kids aren't ready to play great literature yet, you want to let them listen to recordings of great literature, and you want to introduce them to what the concert band is capable of. I always get concerned when people say, Richard, my kids just aren't into concert band the way they are in marching band. And I think that's on us, Randy. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think that's on us, to come out of marching band, get on that podium and say, hey, now it's time to get serious, instead of the other way around, which is what the kids often think. And I know you agree with that.
Yeah, and great teachers always tell students why first. This is why we're doing this, and I think that's really, really important. The other thing that I always looked forward to after marching season, you're working on the same music for a long period of time, was the opportunity to sight read every day in class and start where you think the group is, maybe a notch better than that, or harder, more difficult than that, and then work your way through more difficult literature. And if the students are struggling a little bit, that can help be a motivator for them understanding why we're doing this, why we're sight reading, why we have to get better at reading rhythms and understanding accidentals and nomenclature so that we can experience a higher level of musicianship. And I know that was something that I preached all the time to our students was we have to become better readers, right? What about that component for you, Richard?
Well, it's so critical. And let's just talk about the obvious reasons why it's so important. Kids love to be able to sit down and play through something the first time. If they can't read, they can't do that. Also, we develop, I don't know how you feel about this, Randy, but I always felt like we developed our best musicians by the practice work that they did outside of class. And if they can't practice on their own because they can't read, that really limits them. And it also hurts the ensemble. So it gets back to what I was talking about earlier, when we're trying to develop the ensemble, but we're also trying to develop the individual. So take your time, just like we talked about in marching band, taking your time and doing the right things in order. Same way with concert band. If your kids aren't ready for a whole lot of technique, then just work on sound for a while, get things going so that the blend and balance and intonation is really good in the group. And then you can slowly start to add more technique in so you can read harder pieces.
Yeah, that's great information. And we're going to take a deeper dive into this subject, everyone, on January 12th for our
Mhm.
second Wednesday webinars through marching arts. And we're actually not going to be talking about marching band, but it's going to apply to marching band because developing your student musicianship and your own personal musicianship is the key to having a great marching band as well. So please join us for that webinar on January 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to also have some special guests. We've got Susan Smith coming in to talk about chamber winds. We've got Wayne Dillon to talk about concert band. And we've got our good friend W. Dale Warren to talk about concert band and integrating that into your curriculum. So please join us for that. And join us next week on our next session of Coffee Talk.
Looking forward to it.